Now the co-host, Jericho.
Thank you, ma'am.
A pleasant morning to everyone. We are the Group 3 from STEM 12-8, and today we are going to present our study entitled Correlation Between Hours of Sleep and Senior High School Learners' Daily Functionality. Next, please.
So the background of the studies, sleep is an essential bodily function that gives the body and mind a chance to recharge, leaving one refreshed and alert the next day. It is considered to be interdisciplinary because it touches every aspect of health, and a good sleep helps the body stay healthy and prevent disease. Without enough sleep, the brain cannot function properly. It can impair one's ability to concentrate, think clearly, and organize memories, according to Johnson 2020. So, according to the National Sleep Foundation, high school learners need about 8 to 10 hours of sleep each night. In teenagers, a good quality of sleep is crucial for physical health, emotional and mental development, and school performance. During adolescence, sleep benefits brain development and function, which enhances attention span and improves memory and cognitive abilities, according to Jitesh and others. 2020. So in 2021, Philippine Star reported that a majority of Filipino teenagers aged 15 to 18 spent only 4 to 6 hours of sleep at night. And according to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, or NHLBI, cutting back on sleep by as little as 1 hour can make it burdensome to focus the next day and can slow down response time.
Richard 2015 stated that sleep-deprived teens are likely to suffer myriad negative consequences, including drowsy driving incidents, anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide, and even suicide attempts. High school seniors are 3 times more likely to have depression symptoms if they have excessive daytime sleepiness, according to Gradisar 2022. According to Gregory 2018, teens who do not get enough sleep are more likely to be impulsive, hyperactive, and oppositional. Many have reported the relationship between the hours of sleep and the school performance of learners, but the other aspects can also be associated with the hours of sleep of learners, such as their daily functionality. With that, the researchers decided to conduct this research to understand the association of sleep with the senior high school learners' everyday functionality.
You are muted, presenter. Basi ako may problem sa akon nga audio. Is it me?
Bation ka, Ma'am Lindy.
Eman, thank you, Ma'am Galinero. Kindly proceed, Eman. Sino ang ma-present sunod?
Ako, ma'am.
Okay, go on.
Statement of the problem. General objective. Generally, this study aims to determine the correlation between the hours of sleep and the daily functionality of senior high school learners in a private university in Iloilo City during the school year 2022 to 2023. specific objectives. This study specifically aims to determine the hours of sleep of respondents, determine the daily functionality of the respondents in terms of A, physical functioning, B, emotional, psychological functioning, and C, social functioning. Number three, determine whether there is a significant difference in the degree of functionality when the respondents are grouped according to their hours of sleep. And last, determine the correlation between hours of sleep and daily functionality in terms of physical, emotional, slash psychological, and social functionality among respondents.
For the hypothesis, we have there is no significant difference in the degree of functionality when the respondents are grouped according to their hours of sleep, and there is no significant relationship between hours of sleep and daily functionality in terms of physical, emotional, psychological, and social functioning among respondents. For the theoretical framework, the study is anchored on Zach Sermina's theory of losing sleep over performance in 2015.
Excuse me,
This-
Langga, Erna, please
Yes,
put
ma'am.
off muna the audio of your other gadget, because you are echoing. Thank you, Ms. Lapuos. Or the one who is near to you, who is on the line now, please also.
Am I audible?
Go on.
This theoretical framework is based on how hours of sleep affect one's academic performance. Lack of sleep results in deficits in neurocognitive and psychomotor performance, in addition to exhaustion and sleepiness. For the conceptual framework, independent variable, we have the hours of sleep, and for the dependent variable, we have daily functionality. For the definition of terms, for clarity and common understanding, the following terms used in the study were given conceptual and operational definitions. We have the hours of sleep and the daily functionality.
Significance of the study. Learners. As the center of the educational system and the direct beneficiaries of this research study, learners, specifically senior high school learners, will benefit from this research since it can grant them the knowledge about the correlation between hours of sleep and daily functionality. The knowledge that they will obtain will be able to create an impact in adjusting their sleeping hours and habits to improve or enhance their daily functionality. Teachers. This study could be helpful to teachers, especially senior high school teachers, to assess their students' performance in class. The findings from this study could give them knowledge about how learners' hours of sleep correlate with their daily functionality. Next, parents and guardians. The findings from this study could provide information to parents and guardians about the correlation between their children's hours of sleep and daily functionality. It could raise awareness among them by educating their children about the importance of sleep to one's day-to-day functionality. Department of Health, DOH. This study could provide DOH with valuable information about the correlation between the hours of sleep of learners and their daily functionality. Could be a way for them to raise awareness and engage in advocating around communities all over the country about the importance of sleep for learners. Lastly, future researchers. This study will benefit future researchers who would want to conduct studies related to the correlation between a learner's hours of sleep and daily functionality.
Scope and limitations of the study. This study is limited only to determining the correlation between hours of sleep and senior high school learners' daily functionality. descriptive correlational research approach, and 145 STEM senior high school learners.
Review of related literature. In a study by DeWald et al., sleep is an active, repetitive, and reversible state of perceptual disengagement from an unresponsiveness to the environment. Empirical evidence suggests a link between sleep and cognitive performance consolidation, which is required for executive functions such as abstract reasoning, goal-directed behavior, and creative processing. Sleep-related brain processes influence daily cognitive, physical, and emotional performance. In a study by King in 2011, lack of sleep is stressful and has an impact on the body and the brain. Also, in a study by Boyd Shell et al. In 2014, the impact of sleep loss may be severe in cognitive and behavioral domains. Hours of sleep of learners. In a study by Suni in 2022, sleep is a fundamental to health for all learners of all age, including adolescents. However, sleeping problems and their effects on school performance can change based on their age. Most notably, teenagers face unique sleep challenges that can give rise to difficulties in school. Also, in a study by Wheaton in 2015, children and adolescents who do not get the recommended amount of sleep for their age are at increased risk of developing chronic conditions such as diabetes, obesity, and mental health problems, as well as injuries, attention and behavioral problems, and poor academic performance.
According to EdBlock in 2020, being in a functional state every day is imperative because it provides individuals with the skills, knowledge, and understanding to progress in work, education, and life. Functional persons can operate confidently and effectively in life and work. In a study conducted by Pasco, Hetrick, and Parker in 2020, they stated that high school learners commonly self-report experiencing ongoing stress relating to their education. They refer to it as academic-related stress, which includes pressure to achieve high marks and concerns about receiving poor grades. According to Stoltz, Coleman, and Sinha in 2014, people who are stressed, such as during examination periods, are less likely to be physically active. Next study, according to Urban and Grossos in 2012, stress can also lead to the development of non-communicable diseases, including metabolic syndrome, obesity, and reduced insulin sensitivity, which result from poor lifestyle and disruption of stress system. Current studies, according to Otenyo in 2015, when students lose sleep, they disrupt their sleep cycles and their bodies respond by decreasing the ability to concentrate and complete a complex task.
According to Mesh Hari and Shokat 2019, poor nighttime sleep quality and the consequent daytime sleepiness affect the physical and cognitive health of students in their academic performance. Additionally, adequate sleep is essential to refresh them every day and help in learning and memory processing. According to Toyong 2020, the number of hours of nighttime sleep is correlated to the high occurrence of sleepiness in classroom behavior. There was also a significant positive relationship between the number of hours of night sleep and academic performance. According to Abraham et al. 2017, inadequate sleep has detrimental effects on both students' health and academic performance. The study revealed that college students' strongest perception is that sleep affects academic, social lives, and emotional stability.
So the research design, this study determined the correlation between hours of sleep and daily functionality of senior high school learners. The descriptive correlational design was used in this study. So a descriptive correlational design is a type of non-experimental research that describes relationships among variables without seeking to establish a causal connection according to Parent 2017 and according to LabPay 2000, a descriptive correlational research design is useful for describing how one phenomenon is related to another in situations where the researcher has no control over the independent variable. So the study will have 145 respondents, which is an acceptable sample size for a study with a population as large as 1,450. The researchers will utilize 10% of the total population in accordance with this method of sampling. Systematic sampling is a method of selecting every nth element of the population after the sample size has been determined. So the formula of systematic sampling interval is big N divided by small n, so that would be 1,450 divided by 145 is equivalent to 10. So the systematic sampling interval is 10.
For the instrumentation, to attain the objectives of the study, the researchers will use questionnaires through Google Forms. In our data gathering procedure, the researchers will send the respondents who agreed to partake in this study the link to the questionnaire. The lead researcher will assign members who will handle the sending of the consent forms and the questionnaires to the respondents. The remaining members will then tally the results that will be gathered from the respondents' questionnaires. In ethical considerations, this research study will be conducted under the principles of the Code of Ethics. The researchers will adhere to several ethical acts which uphold respect toward the respondents. The respondents will only be able to participate in this study voluntarily and with the complete approval. All the information provided by the respondents will solely be used for research purposes.
For the data processing and data analysis plan, this study will use frequency distribution to analyze and summarize the data gathered to be used in data analysis. Arithmetic mean will be applied to determine the average of hours of sleep and daily functionality of senior high school learners. Analysis of variance, or ANOVA, will be used to determine if there is a significant difference in the degree of functionality when the respondents are grouped according to their hours of sleep. Spearman's correlation coefficient will be used to determine the relationship between the hours of sleep of learners and their daily functionality.
That is all. Thank you for listening. To the panel to the members of the panel, we are now ready for your questions and suggestions.
Thank you, researchers, and thank you also for your indulgence, our esteemed panel members. May I now open the room for questioning. Can we start with Ma'am Valakio? Dr. Valakio, please, to be followed by Ma'am Abugadil, and also to be followed also by Ma'am Galinero. Thank you, Ma'am Valakio, and a pleasant morning again sa imo.
Good morning, everyone, to Ma'am Lindy, to the researchers, and of course, to our principal, Ma'am Benj, and also to my fellow panelists, Ma'am Abugadil. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be part of this research panel, and I am learning from you researchers today. So thank you for sharing your learning. And I'd like to congratulate you for reaching this far in the presentation of your research proposal. First, I'd like to have a suggestion with regards to the title. Your title is Correlation Between Hours of Sleep and Senior High School Learners' Daily Functionality. How about if instead, but of course, this will also be with the approval of the other members of the team in the panel, Hours of sleep and daily functionality of senior high school learners. That's my suggestion for the new title. Because if you also include correlation there, that would mean that the researchers are seemingly having a bias at the start. You already think that indeed hours of sleep and daily functionality is they are correlated. So I'd like to also say that to avoid the impression that there's bias, how about, and of course, also for clearer understanding of what would really be the focus in the study. So my suggested title is Hours of Sleep and Daily Functionality of Senior High School Learners. But of course, as again, I'd like to say that my fellow members of the panel and Ma'am Lindy are also consulted with regards to this particular recommendation on the change of the title.
Ma'am Velacchio, Dr. Velacchio.
Yes, Ma'am Bench.
Yes, I agree with Dr. Velacchio on the title. It is much better to have that title rather than the ones with that the same reason that Dr. Velacchio has stated.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am Bench. And of course, Ma'am Lindy as the advisor will also be consulted. Okay, for the background of the study, I suggest that you include in the discussion information on daily functionality and its connection with hours of sleep. Because there is seemingly more discussion on hours of sleep and academic performance. And it seems as though academic performance is not really the focus of the study. So I'd like to mention that more research probably on the conceptual literature related to ours, related to daily functionality should be done by the researchers so that you can have a more in-depth discussion on the connection of this particular topic with hours of sleep instead of connecting it with academic performance, stress, and other topics. No? So for the research paradigm, I would suggest that when you connect your independent and dependent variables, please avoid using the arrow because the arrow is directional. So it seems as though you're saying that from the independent to the dependent variables, there will only, or from the independent to the dependent variable, there is only one direction, no, one flow going from independent to dependent. But in a correlation, I would think that the direction of the flow of connection would be both ways, no? Either from independent to dependent or dependent to independent. So I suggest that the arrow that would connect, no, the two variables should already be deleted in the paradigm. Also, I noticed that your discussion under learners' daily functionality in the second and third paragraphs of your review of related literature already focuses, it would already focus on stress. It is only in the first paragraph of that discussion on daily functionality where you really have that particular topic in focus. So again, I'd like to mention that there should be more information on learners' daily functionality, especially on the basis of your definition of learners' functionality. as cited in your questionnaire, no? Where I think in the questionnaire, you mentioned that daily functionality may be in terms of three aspects, no? So those aspects of daily functionality, I hope would come from the literature that you have read, no? So it would be good if you also include that in your review of related literature. For the methodology, I noticed that there are parts which are expressed in the past tense. So since this is not a finished study, change your verbs to future tense, because if I were a reader, or some readers might think that you just took the information about the methodology from other sources or researches that have already been done in the past, no? Because you also present it in the past tense. So best if you can show that this is a proposal, this research has not yet been done, so all the procedures there are still to be done in the future. So all verbs should be in the future tense. And with regards to statistical analysis, I think Ma'am Benj really would be the real expert on this. But I noticed that for your statistical tool in correlation, you use Spearman-Rho. In my impression, it seems as though this Spearman-Rho would usually be used if you have data that will involve ranking, no? So since you are not ranking any of your data there presented after taking them from what you would gather from the questionnaire, I think Ma'am Benj can probably recommend a better statistical tool than Spearman-Rho. That is my observation with regards to your study. So with that, I'd like to say again, congratulations, you did a good job.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Take note, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Let's proceed. Thank you, Dr. Valakio. Let us proceed, Ma'am Abugadil. Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Noted.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Ma'am Lindy, and to fellow fellow panelists, Ma'am Valakio and Ma'am Galinero, and of course to the researchers. Hello, hello. Good morning sa inyo. Delusion up a bit. Sige, so I congratulate you for a well-presented proposal this morning. Your slides were very creative and it was summarized. Sige, for my comment, I would agree with Ma'am Valakio on your title nga gin-mention niya kagina about slashing the term correlation kay of course kung may sleep may ara gina iya connection sa daily functionality of students. So I would highly agree with Ma'am Valakio on that. Okay, and as your English specialist here sa mga panelists, I would like to comment first on your mentioning of acronyms. So I have scanned through your manuscript, and then I have noticed that you have mentioned some acronyms, pero the way you have written them, some of them, it has to observe the proper way of writing it. So when you are mentioning acronyms on the first time nyo bala siya class din mention, please write the complete term first and then enclose it with parentheses. Okay, parentheses. Then, kung i-mention nyo siya again in your paper, you don't have to write the complete term again. So, on the first mention lang siya nga complete with your shortened term inside parentheses. And then, for the rest of your paper, you can just mention the acronym. Okay, and that includes your strand. So, ang focus nyo on your study is STEM. So if other readers are not that oriented with ano ni siya ang stem na strand, you have to spell stem out first on your first mention. And then the rest of your paper, stem na siya. Okay. What else? Sige, for senior high school, if it is attached to a school name or an institution name, big letter na siya, ang senior high school. Pero if it's not attached to an institution, it could be in small letters lang, ang senior high school. Also, what else we have here? On your conceptual framework, sa inyong independent and dependent variables, you have mentioned that your sub-variables are under physical, emotional / psychological, and social. So I hope sa inyong conceptual framework, i-specify nyo sa DALOM sang daily functionality on your dependent variables kung ano ang sub-variables nyo. So klaro, like when your readers look at your paper, ano yung daily functionality? They don't have to scroll pa sa appendices because at first, like when I have read your manuscript, so ano yung daily functionality? And then yung scroll ko pa, I see, ang munigali ang sub-variables, ang physical, ang emotional, psychological. So I would highly suggest for you to put your sub-variables under daily functionality on your conceptual framework. Okay, what else? For your theories, okay, theoretical framework, if your theory is named after a person, so big letter na siya. For example, Darwin's evolution theory. So si Darwin lang ang big letter. Evolution theory, you can have it in small letters. Or kung hindi related sa names ng tao ang theories nyo, small letter lang siya. Alright. What else? Sa definition of terms. Okay, for your definition of terms, please do it in alphabetical order. Okay, because I have noticed that kind of mixed up. Please do it in alphabetical order. And please define your sub-variables. Ano ang emotional? Ano ang psychological? And how about physical? Because when I have read your definition, it's kind of broad for my interpretation. Okay? Sige. What else? Strand. All right. RRL. Okay, for your RRL, so may mga comments na makagina si Dr. Balakio. So I will not comment on that anymore. Kay very clear na kagina ang expectation and ang comments ni Ma'am Balakio on that. Sa foreign lang ninyo nga studies, please researchers, when you are doing an academic output, please never use contractions. Mugini siya ang no-no sa research, and even writing something academically, contractions, what do I mean by this? Doesn't, yun ang nakita ko, isn't, don't, please do it in complete form or in its complete term. Okay. Okay, nakita ko na siya. I have spotted a contraction on your RRL, specifically in your synthesis of literature. Okay. And what else? Last na lang. Okay. For your instrument, by the way. Ang instrument ninyo, yes, I have senior sub-variables. You have the physical, emotional, psychological, and social. And then ang inyong sa scale bala ninyo, I have noticed nga agree, like strongly agree, and then the rest of the items. But upon reading your statements bala, for example, sa physical, I experienced headache. I think, I don't know with the comments of other panel members nga,
I think if it's better kung frequency siya. Like, always, not always, usually, often, because ang items or ang statements yung naging sulat sa inyong instrument are more on the how frequent siya nagakatabo. Nga, may sakit akong ulo. Oo, ga-agree ko. So, it's not thing sa items of your scale. So, I would suggest na frequency siya. All right. And pwede ninyo or could you please add more on your statement? Because I've noticed pag 5 lang siya per sub-variable. So I think that would alter the accuracy or the effect on the correlation between sleep, number of hours of sleep and the daily functionality of the student. So I would highly suggest that you will add more of this. More statements on your questionnaire or on your instrument. And I've seen here on your physical sa variable, headaches. Okay, let me look at that. I would agree with the other items, but I have noticed one. Okay, so fifth ninyong item on the physical variable, variable, I gained weight due to pre-bedtime snacking. Okay, how sure are you nga hang inyong gain weight halin siya sa pre-bedtime snacking? So, not all nga sleep deprived naga-midnight snacking man. Pero, naga-gain weight sila. So, how would you, paano nyo siya measure, or I don't know the term for that, nga paano nyo ma-make sure nga ang weight gain niya is from that pre-bedtime snacking. So I think you have to, paraphrase or to change an item from your instrument. Anyway, ipa-verify nyo pa man na siya sa amon. But I would highly suggest that nga you think of other terms for that item on your instrument. Okay, so let me see. Yes, I guess that is all. Yeah, I guess that is all. I have to comment for this morning. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you. Those are very we should not fail to see. Thank you very much. Also, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll take note of it, ma'am.
We welcome our principal, Ma'am Galinero, please. Thank you. Even if naga-challenge kita mo sa signal, but thank you for being here.
Yes. Good morning once again. Good morning, Ma'am Lindy, Dr. Velacchio, and Ma'am Bugadil, and also to our researchers. Good morning to each one of you. My apology if I cannot open my camera right now. Nakalakang ako ng office pag abot na ako. So, ang ako nga ginagamit nga computer subong is not the one that I am using before. So, hindi nami ang camera niya. So, I'd better not to open it. All right, so let's proceed. This is ang nalamian ko kung last ako kay daw halos natapos na tanan sa mga aton nga mga panelists ang mga comments, no, and I am left with very little comments na lang for the research work done by these young researchers of ours. Now, I'd like to commend you for your introduction. You have connected the concepts and your reasons of why you are having the research to be conducted, no? And however, I'd like also to point out some improvements that you can make out of this paper for this to become a good paper, no? A presentable one, and could be a source of information also for other researchers in the future. No, so again, I already made I conform with the suggestion of Dr. Balakio about the change of your title, which is also in my mind. No, so I hope that he will consider it, no, sa inyong paper. And then, sige, we'll go from one part of your paper to another. But before I go to that, I actually Asin part sa inyo nga paper, no, i-ask ko karon sa inyo, no. Sige. I would suggest sa inyo balang objectives of the study, since although we are measuring hours of sleep as the number of hours, no, they sleep in a day, to be a scaled measure, no, numerical siya. However, ang aton nga daily functionality daw, hindi natin siya makonsider na numerical siya in nature. So I suggest na instead of putting there the word correlation, because if we see ang word na correlation is usually used when we are working with numerical data, no, and we see linear correlation. When we say linear correlation, is a linear relationship na we can predict one variable in terms of the other. So we cannot do that anyway for functionality. We cannot predict na if amo lang ni ang number of hours of sleep niya, ang functionality niya is not good and so on. No? So I suggest that you change that to relationship na lang siguro. It would be better if instead of correlation, you use relationship, or you look at relationship of hours of sleep of students and their daily functionality. Relationship. Then,
Okay, ma'am.
okay. Okay, sa inyo nga hypothesis actually is a relationship na ang mention ninyo. In your conceptual framework, Dr. Valakio said that we need to delete na lang the arrow, no, pointing out to daily functionality as hours of sleep. We are actually naga-ano kita sang naga-assume kita nga hours of sleep really affects, no, daily functionality with the arrow that is pointing out to daily functionality from hours of sleep, no. So Dr. Valakio suggested na ina siya, ikwaon ina siya. Although I don't know if you can consider this also, no, that we cannot expect naman daily functionality to affect hours of sleep. Would you agree with me? Do hindi man siguro mag-affect ang daily functionality. So it's up to you. Pero kung daw mas ano siya, mas general siya and favorable, okay na lang man siguro makwaon nyo na lang ang arrow. I'd like to ano lang to specify or to make you understand na wala kita nag-expect sang daily functionality to affect the other one, because ang independent variable natin is really expected to affect the dependent variable in this case, no? On your definition of terms, sige, ang daily functionality ninyo is described by the level of agreement, no? As what I have said, level of agreement, ga-agree ikaw pero pwedeng hindi na siya truth sa imo. Okay, so that could mean daw ano lang siya, though you perceive it as correct, but it could not be true to you, no? You believe na it is correct, but it is not true to you. So I suggest that you change this one, ang level of agreement ninyo. Okay, let me see if I can suggest Likert scale responses na more appropriate. Okay, I do I function better, somewhat better. Okay, stayed the same, pwede man na siguro. I function worse on this part, or much worse. Yeah, that is just a suggestion, but you can always find another way of describing your daily functionality, but not in terms of level of agreement, because as I said, when you say I agree, you can agree, but that is not probably true to you, no? So that is what I've seen no sa inyong nga paper. And
The middle ground, ma'am, is the same. Just to sustain functionality. So 5 would be somewhat better, then somewhat better, then
yes.
the same, then worse, much worse ang inyong 1.
The same lang siya gihapon ang inyong nga leveling, ang leveling. Okay lang siya.
That's better, ma'am.
Then on the sige, makato kita sa I've seen sa inyong related literature, sa inyong related literature, I've seen a statement there, learners' hours of sleep in correlation to their daily functionality. So this part sa inyong paper tells us na wala sang difference no in the psychological na level. Now this is my question to each of you researchers no, if you can give me a very short answer to this no, why is it that you really need to have a study conducted such as this when you already find, when there are already findings na wala man lang some significant relationship? So why you are conducting the research on the same population, senior high school man sa gihapon. Okay? Basi we can think nga basi wala to siya significant relationship na sa ang duwa ka variable nga gin mention kay senior high school to siya ang aton nga sample, but this time it would be a difference. So why are you conducting the same research to the same set of response, or I mean the same population? Maybe one or two of you could make justification of your research.
Hello, dear panelists.
Yes.
I'm audible right now. So, first of all, ma'am nga gusto naman ni i-push through nga muna nga study is because very limited, kung kami lang gani ma'am per se, very limited makapangita sang mga researches in regards sa situation in senior high school, especially sa ilang daily functionality and at the same time ang ilang hours of sleep. Mostly we can see is about college because they said nga mas budlay daw ang life sa college kaysa sa senior high school, but we would like to push bala or like to prove that somehow senior high school has ano man, may mga times man nga like gusto namon mabalaan if ang kung gakapektuhan man gid bala kung sleep deprived sa gakapektuhan man bala ang ila daily functionality is because some of them nagambal nga wala man kuno sa ilang ulaw sila. That's why mo na gusto ginaman ma'am i-push ma'am.
So do hindi pa ka mag-believe nga ang study nga gin-conduct before is amo na siya no, may na-establish nga wala sang relationship no. You wanted to find out really base sa inyo nga study, it will turn out nga may relationship. Is that what you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Thank you, Jerickson. How about the other? One more.
Because ano among nga related group na una is very limited lang siya ma'am sa info, and other literature man nga gin-include naman like ang kay Pascal head rate is more siya specifically sa stress, which is hindi siya related gid sa amon nga gusto nga i-study. So amo na ni dili naman sila ang gaps na gusto naman siya i-research pa para mas may more info pa kami naman siya.
Okay. Sige. So with that, no, you have justified why you need to conduct your research. Sige. So lastly, I'd like to suggest na lang siguro categorization of your hours of sleep, since you will be conducting statistical analysis that test for differences, no? Test for differences like you suggested here na you are going to conduct using ANOVA okay, for functionality, the test of differences between functionality and hours of sleep. So I'd rather ask you to please make some categorization of your hours of sleep siguro. Kay in your ano tawag sina, in your questionnaire, you have there your ano na lang, your number of hours of sleep. So maybe in the analysis that you're going to make, you categorize your hours of sleep. And then, since we will be testing on relationship, not with correlation, I suggest you use na lang siguro chi-square in that matter. Sa inyong test of relationship. We will also do some validation of your questionnaire. I will have some suggestion, but since our time will not permit us to do so, okay, we will be willing to have your questionnaires validated and some suggestions will be given to your question. With that, I hope that these comments will help you in the improvement of your paper. And thank you and God bless you. Congratulations.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
and
much.
congratulations also to
Thank
our
you,
panel
ma'am.
members. I'd like to emphasize, please, the group of Mr. Anisco, the one that was signified by Ma'am Valakio a while ago as to your statistical tool. So Ma'am Benjini Gallinero already suggested, especially that you will identify first how you will be utilizing what type of level of measurement is your variable. So in that case, because you will make categories for your number of hours sleep, so, and then you will use ANOVA for checking for differences between these two variables. And then also in your relationship objective, Dr. Valakio is correct na hindi siya mag-suggest ng Thierman. We go back to chi-square, no, as suggested by Ma'am Benjini Gallinero. Also, the suggestions of Ma'am Abugadil as to your, especially as to how you will look into your constructions, avoid them, and also your the ones that you have written in the title also, please edit that. And even adding nawala ako. The abbreviations, na? The ones. Now, take note of the abbreviations, especially as to the first mention of the abbreviation. It should be written in the full word. Thank you very much for this particular activity that we have this morning. This is highly appreciated now for your joining this academic activity, especially the panel. I have provided an announcement there in the chat box that kindly please, our panel, the GCash number of Ma'am Valakio is already there. So take note, researchers. And then for Ma'am Abugadil and for Ma'am Gallinero, I'll send it to you. No, I think I have one. I have a copy of your GCash numbers, ma'am. Kindly give your certificate, Mr. Anisco.
Wait lang, ma'am.
Ang for Ma'am Rona, ipadala niya lang sa imo, Mr. Anisco, ang iya number. Thank you, good Ma'am Abugadil. Ang kay Ma'am naton Gallinero, I will send it to you, Mr. Anisco. Salamat. Relax na kamo, dumi na kulbaan pa ha. Tapos na kita. Congratulations, guys. No. Sige lang kung hindi mag-workout ang ilang certificate. We will just send it to them. Will it be okay, Mr. Anisco? The way we smile si Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Gutera.
Ari na ma'am, ako lang ma'am. Okay. This certificate reads Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is gladly presented to Mrs. Rona May Ellen L. Abugadil in grateful appreciation for her wisdom, outstanding contribution, and invaluable time or assistance to the success of the research proposal of STEM 12-8 Group 3 as a panelist, given this 28th day of November 2022 at Central Philippine University. Signed by our research leader, Emmanuel Anisco, and our research report and capstone advisor, Professor Maria Lindy B. Sakibal. Also, same certificate is given to Same certificate is also given to Dr. Belinda Valacchio. And lastly, same certificate is also given to Ma'am Benjine, Professor Benjine Galinero. And also we would like to give certificate of appreciation to our dear advisor for research, Ma'am or Professor Maria Lindy B. Sakibal. Thank you so much everyone for being our panelist for today. We are indeed grateful for your help and guidance.
Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, researchers. Thank you.
Thank you, researchers.
Thank
And
you,
ma'am.
Thank you,
Excuse me,
panelists.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma-take picture, tani, ma'am. We ask for your permission.
Okay.
to take a picture po.
Yan
Sige,
siya.
Go ahead, please.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. So, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Salamat, Gid. Thank you, ang mga moms.
Good teachers.
See you
Thank
soon.
you, everyone.
God bless you. Yay!
Ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Gusto yung nakaginawa natin, Mr. M.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Dapat ang tanan, no?